back with December Daily, day number 11. This is part one of December 11th, and I have approximately, I think I'm doing these 2-page spreads, another 1-page spread, and then two 5x7 photos back to back in between each of those. So it's a total of 5 pages or so for December 11th, something like that. But right now I am just figuring out how I want to do my layouts. I put all the cards down. Again, I did ink up some of the whiter cards because I am using that like candy paper that's in the bottom left, and does have that kind of grungy kind of tanny kind of look. So I do want to make sure that I don't have anything that's really stark white for this. So I did take my distress ink and just distress lightly around everything so that it just looks a little nicer. And then instead of using the white cardstock to mount the photos, I end up using like a kind of cream cardstock. So now I'm just going through my die cuts and things like that, trying to figure out what I'm going to use on this layout. I've already added that Joy puffy word that came in the Citrus Twist kit. The cheer, which I am not going to end up using, it came in a Simple Stories, but I'm going to use that on a different day later on. And the North Pole, I do like that, but it just wasn't going to go with that card, and it was just too heavy there. So you'll see a little bit later that I'm going to take that off and add a label instead. So now I'm just adding some more of these puffy stickers. I thought it would look cute to frame this Married Together card with those gold kind of, looks like wheat kind of a motif. So I just added that there. I had a little scrap of the lace trim doily from the previous day, so I just thought I'd add that to the bottom left card. I thought it anchored it kind of nicely. I mounted the photo of my daughter eating her cookie she made with some striped paper that I thought was cute. And here's where I'm changing out that label. And I think that just looks a little bit nicer. And I'm going to add a little bit of journaling to that label as well. So here I'm pulling out these little cut aparts that were on the 6x8 paper that I trimmed out. I will end up adding a little bit of twine to the end of that. And I do distress it just a little bit to get away that stark white again. I wanted to add a little bit of texture to this page, so I end up cutting up this scrap of, what is it, snowflake fabric, and I'm going to add a little bit to the top left of that card that says Sweet Holiday Memories, and then I'm going to add a little bit in that bottom right hand 3x4. I'm also going to layer up this little ruffle trim that I made. It's just using some scraps of green fabric that look Christmassy, and I did a gold zigzag stitch on my sewing machine to make that ruffle trim. And I've made a bunch of ruffle trim that I'm just kind of using throughout the days in this album. And I'd made those ahead of time just so that they were already there, sitting there in my stash. So there I inked up some of these other pieces that were looking a little too stark white to me. And again, just so everything kind of blends a bit better together. I added my journaling here, and then I'm going to add my fabric scraps to the bottom. I'm just going to use my Beacon 3-in-1 glue to add the fabric down. That's a really good glue if you are wanting to add fabric to your layout. It ends up sticking really nicely. It doesn't come through the fabric too much if you don't add too much glue to it. So just adding a little bit will really help it stick, and it's just a really overall good glue that I really like to use. I'm going to add some of that same adhesive up to the top left. And I'm just going to add that. I'm not going to do anything with that piece of fabric. It's just there as a decorative textural element. And here you can see I did do my journaling on some vellum and then on that little label. I'm going to glue down that photo of my daughter decorating her cookie and then add that little label, all the sugar. Just type that up on my vintage typewriter. And then I'm just trimming this out. This is going to go on the little sweater tag on the top, or sorry, the bottom left 4x6 card. And just trimming it to make sure it fits on there nicely. And I'm just using a regular dry adhesive on this. You really couldn't see it through it, so I thought it was going to be fine. Now I'm going to glue everything down on this 4x6 card. I like how it's looking, and so that's pretty much how it's going to stay. Like I said, I will add some twine to that little tag. And of course I don't think about it until I glue it down or start gluing it down. But it ends up working okay. I didn't actually stick it on the page quite yet. So I'm just going to add that on, loop it around, and then trim off any excess, and then I'm just going to leave that hanging off like that. I'm not going to do anything to adhere it or anything. So now I'm just going to glue down this picture of my daughter. I was thinking about overlapping the top red part with that, but it just didn't look right, so I ended up putting it just in the white space. Here I'm going to type on the circle label, and I'm going to add that to the photo here, and I just marked it off so I knew where my typing should start and stop. and I like that little gold element there. And I'm going to add a little bitty sticker that looks like a little candy. I just felt like it needed a little bit something else, so I'll just add that with my tweezers. I do pull out some sequins. I was thinking about using that little Christmas tree that's in the sequins pack up there, but it just didn't fit. So I kind of move it around the page, seeing where it might fit better, and I end up deciding that I'm not going to use that at all. I'm going to pull out this little candy kind of, I don't know, they're kind of like, what, Fimo clay kind of little elements that came in the kit, and I thought that would look cute here on this fabric where I have the journaling. So now I'm just looking around, seeing what else I want to do. I felt like this needed a little bit more, so I added some stitching to both the top left and the bottom right journaling cards, or little 3x4 cards. And the last thing I'm going to do on this part of the page is add in this ribbon trim. I thought the gold would be pretty. I do futz with it quite a bit, so I cut out some of that so you didn't have to see me struggle with that ribbon. It was a little bit thick and hard to kind of get through that hole correctly, but I end up working it out. And I'm just going to add to family from Eckert's on the little tag. I wasn't exactly sure what to put on this tag, and we went to Eckert's, so I thought that would be a good just thing to add there. And then that is this 2-page spread done. So I'm moving on to the 2 5x7 photos. I have the one of my daughter with Santa and Mrs. Claus. We always go to this breakfast at with Santa, and it's really, really cool. I think I talk about it pretty much every year, but Santa and Mrs. Claus walk around and meet and greet with all the kids, and they let them take photos, and they talk to the kids and all that, and it's just a lot of fun. And it's, my daughter always humors me and lets me get pictures with them together, so I really appreciate that she does that. And it's just, they're just fun pictures. Mrs. Claus and Santa were awesome. I love Mrs. Claus, how dressed up she was. She was very fancy. She had very, very fancy nails. Her bag was super cute. She had it all like dialed up. She had this really cute little pom-pom sparkly balls on her head. I mean, she was dressed to the nines. So definitely fun to see her so festive, and she had bells on her hands. So now I'm working on this other photo of me and the family and my daughter. This is my mom and dad, my daughter and me. My husband took the picture. He doesn't really like being in pictures, so he was there, but he is the picture taker. So I just use these puffy puffy word stickers or letter stickers to write family, and I just used a piece of paper from the 6x8 paper pad, and I made a banner shape. And I think that looks cute. It just kind of anchors everything down. I really wanted to put that in the top left of that photo, but it just wasn't going to work. So I ended up putting it in the bottom right, but I will end up filling in that top left part of the photo because I just felt it looked too plain and needs something else. And we'll do that after I finish the left card. I'm going to use this believe word, and I thought it looked a little bit too much blended in. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to adhere it down on this vellum, and I'm going to cut it out all around so it just has a nice little edge, and it just helps it to kind of pop out a little bit more. I did still feel like it was blending in a bit too much, so I am going to pull out some scrap fabric, and I'm going to end up making a little shelf for it to rest on with this really pretty red and green fabric. And then I'm also going to pull out a bit of dyed cheesecloth to anchor it a bit more, again just to give it texture. These photos are all going to be sticking out of the pocket. They're going to be just I'm going to add tabs to the edge, and this is just going to go into the album, so this is going to not be in any page protector. So I don't mind if some of the fabric and stuff falls off the bottom edge of this photo. So while I'm doing that, I want to thank you guys so much for following along with the series. Thank you for being patient with me. I know I haven't been posting videos as regularly as I normally do during December, but it's been that kind of a December, been that kind of a year actually. So I just know I haven't been quite as consistent, but I'm glad you have stuck around with me. If you have any questions about anything I'm doing, make sure you leave those in the comments below. I would love to hear how you are doing with your December daily. Are you on track? Are you doing it this year? Are you just kind of watching other people's videos? You know, what is going on with you guys? And yeah, just if you have any questions, leave those below. And if you like the video, make sure you give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. I try to have videos posted relatively frequently, usually every other week or every week or so. Sometimes I fall off the wagon a bit and it takes a bit before I post again, but I do like to post as much as I can when I have time between work and family stuff. Now I'm just working on this blank section that I was talking about earlier on this card. I added 3 chipboard stars from the kit, and now I'm going to sprinkle around a bunch of sequins, and I just really like how that fills everything in. One of the reasons I wanted to do this is because it just looked a little blank in the top left, but also there was a fire alarm that was just distracting me, and so I covered that up with the red star there. And you're not going to see it but on camera, but I do add the number 11 on that red star in a gold sticker font, and just to signify this is day 11. So now I'm just sprinkling these around, everything's sticking to my tweezers, so I end up having to mess with that a bit, and then I just glue everything out with glue dots. Once I get all this done, you can see I added tabs, and then that's how I'm going to put it in the album. So again, thank you guys so much. Hope you are having a good new year, and I will talk to you again very, very soon. Bye, everybody.